I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture, and hopes of Indigenous Australia. Please stand.
Sunday is Father's Day, and so we take time to give thanks for the gift of fatherhood. May God grant us the grace to give thanks to our fathers, the strength to heal wounds of division if our relationships are broken, and the knowledge that all fathers are made in the image and likeness of Christ. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God our Father, bless these men that they may find strength as fathers. Let the example of their faith and love shine forth. Grant that we, their sons and daughters, may honor them always with a spirit of profound respect. We make this prayer and all of our prayers through our Father in heaven. Amen.
We welcome forward the college principal, Ms. Donovan, to address the college community this morning.
Good morning, everybody, and can I also especially welcome back the Year 12s after their exams, and of course we wish you all the best in the coming weeks as well. Just while we're on Year 12s, the biggest congratulations to all the students that have been involved in major works and also major performances over the last couple of weeks. The HSC drama evening last week, the performances, the audience found the performances really, really impressive, and those students have already sat for their HSC exam. So that was absolutely fantastic, and that was matched by the music students earlier on this week on Wednesday night. The music students also, their performances were absolutely brilliant as well. But I think the thing that I really like about both these groups of students, and it's a characteristic I think of throughout our school, is the fact that there's so much support for one another in both the drama class and the music class. There's just a beautiful feeling in the class that everybody's not only there to do the best that they can, but also to support one another. And it's a really nice characteristic, and it's something that I'd love to think is present in all our classes at Good Samaritan. We've always had exceptional results in industrial technology timber, and many of you would have seen the major projects from the students in the two classes. They've been on display up the back of the hall, and this year the standard was right up there as well. It was absolutely exceptional. So congratulations to those students as well, and we were able to see them at our showcase evening on Wednesday night as well. And the other group of students whose works were also on display were the visual arts students, and they were also of a really, really high standard. But the thing I think that was really impressive there was that they were all so different, and they all displayed so many different talents, so they were all so unique. So I think all of those, the whole four classes of students, you know, this year's performance and this year's works have been absolutely exceptional. drama students, luckily, they've finished their performance now for the HSC examiners. The music students are in the next week or so. The industrial technology examiners were out here all day last Monday, so the works there have been examined, and we have to pack up the visual arts works and they get sent away to be examined as well. So congratulations and good luck to all of those students. The only other comment that I would like to make is the fact that whereas these sorts of works and performances require a lot of commitment from students and a lot of hours, the standard would not be possible if it wasn't for the generosity of teachers, not just their expertise, and they're all experts in their fields, but also the fact that they're prepared to put so much of their own personal time, extra time, into students to make sure that their performances and their works are of the highest standard. So we thank those teachers very much. So with music, it was Mr. Cancino had the music class. With IT, it was Mr. Borg and also Mr. Berto. Ms. Lorenzi had the visual arts class, and Mr. Tanis had the drama class. And I just hope that as students, one of the characteristics again of Good Samaritan is that our teachers are so generous with their time, and they always put students first. So I just hope that as a school and as a community we never take that for granted, because it doesn't always happen. But anyone who takes an HSC practical class, that involves a huge amount of their personal time, so we thank them very much for that. The other group we've got to say the biggest thank you to for Wednesday night is the hospitality class. Anybody who was here would agree that the food was absolutely magnificent. So we really appreciated that, and we thank Miss Randall and also Miss McInerney for their support there as well. On another matter, excuse me, as you may be aware that we're pretty close to moving into the new E block. Now the walls are the same, the frame I guess is the same, but that's about all that is the same now with the E block. We'd all remember that wasn't a particularly attractive room to learn in, because it was so dark, and the walls, those movable walls, you could hear everything that was happening in all the other classes. So we've totally refurbished that, and hopefully now you'll all have a really good learning environment to have your classes in, because it's so different. We've made it much lighter. We've put extra windows in. We've got new carpet in. The walls are much lighter. But as well as that, we've got the latest technology in there as well. And the walls are all movable walls, but they're much more modern movable walls where you can't hear what's going on. And there's also some little breakout rooms in there as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy having your classes in that new block. Now, besides the fact that it's inconvenienced all of you by we've had to move you to other classes, we do have to remember though that it has cost us an absolute fortune to get that block done. So your responsibility is that you must look after it. So if there's classes in there that don't look after it, what we'll be doing is just moving those classes out. So that's your responsibility, but I hope that you really enjoy it, and thank you for all being so obliging with all the inconvenience and all the movement and everything you've had, but I think you'll find it's been worthwhile. On another matter totally again, we haven't had an assembly for a while, but each year, somewhere in term 3, we always like to remember that it's the anniversary of Mark Arcuri, and I'm very, very conscious that the year 12s now would have been in year 8 when Mark Arcuri tragically died 4 years ago, and the next year it'll only be the year 11s that will remember that. So I always mention it because I think it's so important that even though as students move through the school, that everybody who's at our school knows the Mark Arcuri story, because you would have all walked past the Mark Arcuri garden that's just outside the chapel there, and some of you may have been wondering, well, who was Mark? Mark was a student that 4 years ago, he was in year 10, and he died really tragically and very suddenly in the middle of a soccer game. And Mark was one of those students that he was he was a very strong student, but it was mainly because he worked so hard. But he was also a student that involved himself in everything, and he was very highly respected by the other students in his year group, but also very much by his teachers as well. So we always want to remember the story of Mark Arcuri because it's such an important part of the Good Samaritan story. So the garden will always be there, and it's important that we all always know who Mark is. And you would notice if you walk past that garden too that there's another plaque there as well, and that plaque is for Stephen Vella. And he's also a student, an ex-student of Good Samaritan Catholic College. Stephen was in year 10 when I first came here, which was about 8 years ago, and he missed a lot of school because he was really sick. So he did complete his HSC, but the thing about that I'll always remember about Stephen, he was just so inspirational. He was a boy that was in and out of hospital his whole life, but yet he made the most of any experience that he had, and he never complained at all. And I remember that he was a really talented artist, so his major work in visual arts was really, really good. And when I visited his family, all his artworks were all over the house, and they were absolutely beautiful, and you could see just how talented he was. The other thing that Stephen loved was he loved animals. So there's the most beautiful photo of him swimming with the dolphins. He particularly loved dolphins, so he was swimming with the dolphins up in SeaWorld, and it was only about a month or so before he died. So that was Stephen, and Stephen died about a year or so after he left Good Samaritan, and he had cancer, so he was sick. You know, he got diagnosed when he was in high school, and then he was very sick, and he was in and out of hospital all the time. So when you walk past that commemorative garden, that's a story, and it's so important that as we all move on, and you move through Good Samaritan, teachers move on, that we keep that story alive and that we keep passing that story on. So if someone says to you, oh, what's this about, the Mark Arcuri Garden, you'll be able to tell them now, and you'll be able to tell them who Stephen Vella was if you didn't know already. And as I said, the only group next year who will have been here when these things occurred was the present Year 11 group. So that's pretty much all from me. Just some upcoming things. We thank Ms Flett and also the social justice leaders for all their organisation of the Stay Out, which is next Friday, and we know that we'll get plenty of support from students. It's a wonderful way that we can put our faith into action and the values that we believe into action by supporting those in our local community that are far less fortunate than ourselves through St Vincent de Paul. We're also looking forward to Are You OK Day, so hopefully everybody will get involved in that. And of course, on behalf of everybody here, we wish the Year 11s all the best as they start their preliminary exams the week after next. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ms Donovan. A number of students need to be recognised in front of our college community this morning for the wonderful work in which they go about completing schoolwork, and the following students certainly need to be recognised, as I said, as they are the recipients for the Silver Award this morning. So as I call your name out, could you please make your way to the stage? From Year 7, Natasha Alessi, Angelina Elia, Adam Lucic, Natalie Russo. In Year 9, Taryn Clement, Alison Vella, Dana Zuri. And in Year 12, Braden McCrone. And I would ask those recipients just to remain on stage for the moment, and they'll be joined by two other students who have worked exceptionally hard to achieve the Gold Award this morning. And we would like to recognise and congratulate Lauren Issa from Year 12 and Rachna Prasad from Year 12. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a wonderful achievement by all members of our community up on stage at the moment. Let's put our hands together to show our appreciation. Congratulations.
We now call forward Mr. Bradbury for the season's oratory evaluation.
Good morning, staff and students. This morning I have the pleasure of presenting to you a number of students across Year 7 all the way through to Year 12 who have represented you, the Good Samaritan community, in a variety of oratory events, both public speaking and debating. Each of these students will receive their certificates after the assembly, so as I call out each of the students in each of the activities, you'll simply get to present yourself to the Good Samaritan community, as I mentioned earlier. I'll begin with the CSDA public speaking competition. This competition was all the way back in Term 1, and it's a competition that Good Samaritan always enters into and involves pretty much every Catholic school from the Sydney Archdiocese. This year we had the full complement of 12 students, and I'll call out each of them and announce their division as well. So our Year 7 representatives were Julia Perrin and Natalie Russo. Our Year 8 representatives were Chanel Wong and Jessica Maru. Our Year 9 representatives were Dion Luke and Ivana Jonjic. Our Year 10 representatives were Natalie Takriti and Selena Wong. And our senior representatives were Yvonne Woodlier, Kaylin Stone, Erin Andrew, and Catherine Pennell. Out of these 12 students, we had 5 students manage to go to the zone final. Those students were Jessica Maru from Year 8, Ivana Jonjic from Year 9, Natalie Takriti from Year 10, and Erin Andrew and Catherine Pennell from Year 11. Please give a round of applause to our 2018 CSDA Public Speaking representatives. If I could just ask Selena and Natalie just to stay on stage just very quickly. This was a late one. Earlier this week, these 2 students represented the college in the MISA public speaking competition, which involved both a prepared speech and an impromptu speech. And both students, as always, did themselves and the college very proud. And at the end of the day, Selena Wong was awarded 2nd place. So if we could give a round of applause to these 2 girls and Selena for her 2nd place. Thanks, girls. The next group of students that I'll call up is the longer one. This is the CSDA debating competition. For a number of years we were involved in the SWCCDA competition, and this was the first time we were able to return the college back to the CSDA competition. For those of you unfamiliar, the CSDA competition involves, once again, pretty much every Catholic school in the Sydney Archdiocese and even the surrounding areas as far as Wollongong. So once again, like I did with the public speakers, I will call out each of the teams, and if they could come out the front and be acknowledged by the Assembly. So first off, we have the 7A team. This team was coached by Miss Becker and Miss Nasser, and the students were Julia Perrin, Amelia Barth, Natalie Russo, Joel Seeby, and Jessica Rahim. The other Year 7 team that we entered into was the 7B team. That was coached by Miss Lamaro and Mr. Swalem. These students were Jessica Azigbo, Atana Orahem, Ozioma Ogu, Chloe Dowd, and Jacinta May. Please give a round of applause to our Year 7 CSDA debating representatives. Next we have Year 8, and both of these teams managed to secure places in the finals. We'll start off with the 8A team, coached by Mrs. Solomarkis and Miss Messina. This team made it to the Year 8 elimination finals, which we hosted here proudly at the college. They had to first actually win an elimination debate on the Tuesday and then follow that up on the Friday here at Good Samaritan. The 8A team for 2018 was Michaela Zizovsky, Chanel Wong, Abrafi Owusu Mensah, and Kaylee Lafurla. The other Year 8 team, coached by Ms. Sharbo and Ms. Vidovic, that team made it through to the quarterfinals, and to make it through to the quarterfinals basically places that team in the top 8 out of about 88 schools across Sydney, so it's an outstanding achievement. The 8B team consisted of Stephanie Marin, Angelina Romeo, Joshua Joseph, Jessica Maru, and Chantel Afram. Please give a round of applause to our Year 8 representatives. We now come to Year 9. Firstly, the 9A team, coached by Ms. Kotapati and Ms. Kluskens. This team also made it through all the way to the top 8, the quarterfinals. And this team consisted of Dion Luke, Ivana Jonjic, Angelina Wishalam, and Katie Birmingham. The 9B team, who unfortunately just missed out on a place in the finals, it was coached by Ms. Kennedy and Ms. Nugent. It consisted of Erin Muller, Brianna Ferraro, Alison Vella, Dakota Petrovsky, and Ivy Machowski. Please give a round of applause to our Year 9 representatives. Now we come to our Year 10 teams, and first up we have the 10A team, which was coached by Mr. Wong and Ms. Valderrama. This team secured a place through to the elimination finals and had a very, very close debate on the evening, but unfortunately was unable to make it through to the quarterfinals. This team consisted of Christopher Kane, Fadi Jean, and Luca Razlog. The 10B team, which was coached by Ms. Backhouse and Ms. Garcia, it consisted of Abby Vella, Selena Wong, Natalie Takriti, and Jaden Singh. Please give a round of applause to our Year 10 representatives for 2018. I had the pleasure of coaching the next team, which was the Year 11 team. This team also made it through to the quarterfinals and had a thrilling debate against Parramatta Marist, who eventually ended up winning the competition. So it's always sort of interesting when we get defeated by the team that eventually wins the competition outright. These students were Yvonne Woodlier, Catherine Pennell, and Erin Andrew. And finally, we come to our Year 12 CSDA debating representatives. This team was coached by Mr. Lachlan. This team made it through to the elimination finals and were defeated once again in another outstanding debate against St. Patrick's College, Stratfield. The students were Nora Takriti, TJ Bruce, Joy Elias, Liam Thorne, and Elisabel Candelaria. While these students are up here, this may be the very last time I get the opportunity to thank these students for their efforts in debating and public speaking over potentially 6 years of Good Samaritan. And in particular, I would like to sort of pay tribute to Nora Takriti and TJ Bruce, who the last few years have represented us outstandingly well as oratory leaders and have helped myself and Mr. Solomarkis and everyone else that's involved in debating and public speaking. And much of what we've got here at the college is due to the efforts of student leaders such as Nora and TJ. So I wish all of these students the best of luck in their future debating careers. Please once again congratulate our Year 12 students. The last group of students that I'll call up on the stage, these are two of our 3 history debating teams. These 2 teams both made it through to the finals. Our Year 10 gold team, which consisted of Year 10 students, managed to secure a place in the elimination finals, but were unfortunately defeated earlier this term. And the other team actually involved Year 9 students debating above their year level in the Year 10 division and only recently lost a very close debate against Bethany College last week. First up, I'll call up the Year 10 Gold team, who were elimination finalists, as I mentioned. Yuzona Ogu, Robert Pitavino, Abby Vella, and Selena Wong. And the Year 10 Green team, which, as I said, consisted of Year 9 students, Brianna Ferraro, Dakota Petrovsky, Ivy Machowski, Erin Muller, and Alison Vella. This competition is slightly different to all the other competitions we go in. It involves hours and hours of preparation and research into modern, ancient, and even extension history content. So these students really do deserve a big round of applause for their efforts in 2018. And just before I finish, just a few sort of upcoming events. Next week, we'll have Catherine Pennell compete in the district final of the quota competition, so we wish her the best of luck. Our Year 11 history debating team, who weren't presented this morning, they're through to the semi-finals, hopefully to get a shot again at their third straight grand final. They'll debate Tara Anglican College sometime, either probably next term. Alison Vella and Dion Luke earlier this term made it through to the regional final of Legacy, which will be held next week. And we've got UN Youth Voice, which is coming up as well. And just finally, I'd just like to really give a big thank you to all of the staff. I mentioned quite a number of staff. We are absolutely privileged at Good Samaritan to have so many staff willing to give up their Friday afternoons and sometimes afternoons in the weekdays as well to support the many students we have here. And debating simply couldn't be run at the college to the extent that it is without the support of so much staff, and especially Ms. Donovan as well, who for so many years has supported oratory, and it's where it is today because of that support from staff. So a big thank you to all of the coaches, all of the people, and all the students as well for making 2018 a successful season. Thank you.
Well done, guys. Students have many opportunities to be involved in the co-curricular components of the school. One such opportunity to excel in was the Young Writers Competition. To hear more about the success of Good Samaritan students in this competition, we call forward Mr. Wong.
Good morning, Good Samaritan. I'm here this morning to congratulate a student who has demonstrated excellence in the area of creative writing, specifically in poetry. Fadi Jan of Year 10 has had an original poem titled Sensation of Pain, shortlisted in this year's John Marsden and Hachette Australia Prize for Young Writers. His poem was one of just 5 that were chosen out of a list of over 700 submissions. The John Marsden and Hachette Australia Prize for Young Writers is an annual award open to high school students across Australia. The prize recognises excellence in 3 creative writing categories: fiction, non-fiction, and poetry. It is named after and judged by Australian novelist John Marsden, and you might recognise that name as the author of the Tomorrow When the War Began series. As part of the group of shortlisted entrants, Fadi received an invitation to the Melbourne Writers' Festival, which he attended yesterday. There, Fadi met John Marsden and participated in a creative writing masterclass. The day concluded with an awards ceremony for the shortlisted entrants and the overall winners of the competition. While Fadi did not take out first place for poetry, his shortlisting, that is, his poem being chosen out of over 700 entries from across the country, is an outstanding achievement and certainly one worthy of acknowledgement by the college community. So I would like to invite Fadi to the stage to receive his certificate from Ms. Donovan and to have his photo taken. Congratulations, Fadi.
Well done, Fadi. We now call forward Ms. Flett and the social justice leaders to discuss the upcoming social justice evening, as well as congratulate our students who were involved in the very worthwhile Spark program.
Being a refugee is much more than a political status. It is the most pervasive kind of cruelty that can be exercised against a human being. You are forcibly robbing this human being of all aspects that would make human life not just tolerable, but meaningful in many ways.
The more immune you are to people's suffering, that's very, very dangerous. It's critical for us to maintain this humanity.
الان 60 روزه با پسرم همینطوری داریم میچرخیم، ولی هیچ کس نیستش که بگه یه راهی رو بخواد به ما نشون بده. کجا برم زندگیمو شروع کنم؟
If children grow up without any hope, without any prospects for the future, without any sense of them being able to make something out of their lives, then they will become very vulnerable to all sorts of exploitation, including radicalization.
ليش انتوا هنا اليوم؟
طشة آخر الفصل. المنفذ الوحيد في غزة، في السجن الكبير غزة، مش في غزة، السجن كبير يعني.
The officials came here and told them, look, there's no way you're going to get papers to continue. Either you go voluntarily or we arrest you.
I respect you. I respect the passport and I respect you.
It's going to be a big challenge to recognize that the world is shrinking and people from different religions, different cultures are going to have to learn to live with each other.
Hey guys, as you know, each year around winter time, the social justice group holds the winter stay out. This year, the winter stay out is occurring next Friday night on the 7th of September. The night is where we, as students of Good Samaritan, are able to understand the struggles of those who are experiencing homelessness, and we also raise awareness for the inequities present in our own local community through a number of eye-opening activities that can be done with friends and teachers. There will also be a guest speaker who will share their own experiences regarding homelessness, followed by our very own soup kitchen.
Through placing ourselves in the position of the homeless population for an evening, we aim to build empathy for the conditions these individuals are subjected to, and ultimately encourage our school community to advocate for the well-being of the homelessness in our local community. This year, we have decided to take a new approach to the night with the theme of a place to call home, making a home for everyone in our land, centered around the struggles of young people and refugees who have been displaced from their home countries and have fled to our shores for a new start.
We dive deeper into what really makes a home and how the definition of homeless is more than just people we sadly see on the streets. It's the refugees, the asylum seekers, the people who are couch surfing, sleeping in their car or on park benches, the people who no longer have a home to call home anymore. Everyone is invited to come from 5:30 p.m. onwards, with each person attending earning vital house points for their house as we draw near to the end of the House Cup Awards. Juniors are invited to stay until 8:30 p.m. and seniors are invited to stay until 9:30 p.m, where there will be house challenges and a social justice trivia event.
It would also be much appreciated if people attending are able to donate a gold coin donation or a sleeping bag or blanket. That will be going straight to the people in our local community that are currently doing it tough and sleeping rough. On the Friday night, there will be a soup kitchen for those attending to have a warm meal. Be sure to wear warm clothes like tracksuits to fight the cold through our many activities of the night. On Monday, we will be handing out to PCs permission notes, or you can collect one from Miss Flett at the end of assembly at the back of the hall. We encourage that you return them as soon as possible to your year coordinators. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Good morning, Good Samaritan. Social justice expresses the idea that we're all responsible for helping those in need, regardless of our ethnic, cultural, religious, or political differences, and can be summed up in a single statement: love thy neighbour. The students being recognised today have proven this through giving up their time to help those in our community in need. The Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal occurred in late May, and 2 students from our school gave up their weekend to door knock and collect donations to support the Salvation Army. Could I please ask Jaden Singh and Elena Kristevska to come up and receive a certificate of appreciation for their support? The Spark program is a program offered to students in Year 10 at Good Samaritan and requires students to give up their afternoon after school on a Thursday to help newly arrived refugee students at local public schools to read, write and socialise in the English language. The following students are to be recognised for their contributions to this program and for making a difference in these young children's education. Could I please ask the following students to come up to receive their awards? For Term 1, Nicola Verudo, Natalie Takriti, Shadden Nasir, David Barco, and Carolina Astorga. Could I also ask Sharon Kumar to come up? Unfortunately, we didn't receive the award in the mail, but we'd like to recognise her for also contributing to the Red Shield Appeal, and we'll be sure to get a certificate for you, Sharon. Thank you. The following students are to be recognised for the Spark program. These students not only contributed their time during Term 1, but they're also contributing ongoing during Term 3 to help these students at Liverpool West Public School who are currently generally around 6 months to a year into their education in Australia. So could I please ask the following students to receive their awards? Jaden Singh, Abby Vella, Liana Smith, Liana Hayes, and Tanya Gupta. Could we please give a round of applause for these students?
We now invite forward Mr. Wheeler and Mrs. Zara to update the college on sport from around the grounds.
Good morning, everyone. In regards to Misa this term, semi-finals are happening next week, and we've got a large number of teams who are in very strong positions to take out their season, so we wish them all the best with their achievements and also with their opportunities next week. Today I'd like to present to you a number of students who have been representing the college and have been selected to represent Southern Sydney. We had our school athletics carnival in Term 1, as you'll remember. From that carnival we select a school team, and they represented us at the Southern Sydney Athletics Carnival early this term. That carnival also is a selection for the New South Wales Combined Catholic Colleges Carnival, which is to be held later this term, and 5 of our students were selected from that day to represent you and Southern Sydney at that carnival. If I could just ask these students to come up, please. Noah Dad will be representing the school of Southern Sydney in the 12 boys long jump and the 12 boys high jump. He's obviously training this morning. Jonah Pachaleo Jonah will be competing in the 14 girls 200 metres and the 100 metres. Jamie was competing in the 13 boys high jump. Latini Takiri in the 15 girls shot put and the 15 girls discus. And also Zara Nunez, who will be competing in the 12 girls 100 metres. It's a wonderful achievement to be selected in this team. There are 11 different schools from both our region here and also in the Southern Shire who competed at that carnival. And these students, as I said, will represent you and Southern Sydney at the Combined Catholic Colleges on Good Samaritan Day at Homebush. Well done.
Finally, House Cup time. Who is on top of the leaderboard? What can be done to achieve more points for your house? To hear more about the House Cup, we welcome forward Terry and Tommy.
Good morning, Good Samaritan. The final stretch of the House Cup is here, and it's still anyone's game. Remember to stay involved in extracurricular activities such as handing in merit awards, Breakfast Club, MISA, and social justice initiatives. Currently, the social justice team encourage students to participate in the Winter Stay Out, which will be a great cause. It is a way to earn your house points.
All the points earned will go towards House Cup. We have put together a quick video and of an update of the current standings of the houses. And remember to stay involved in the opportunities to help your house win. Thank you and enjoy.
Congratulations to all of our Good Samaritan students and congratulations to Polding so far. Good Samaritan, there's plenty more opportunities to contribute to the House Points Cup before that's awarded for the 2018 season. Before we finish this morning, Good Samaritan, could I ask you just to reflect with me on what was presented today? There were opportunities for academic success. We recognised public speakers and debaters. We also recognised and celebrated writers. Our social justice initiatives, outreach, sport, and this is not to mention things such as the wonderful works that Ms. Donovan spoke about at the start, our woodworkers, our artists, our musicians, people involved in drama, and of course, hospitality. The question remains, Good Samaritan, very clearly, I think, this morning. What can you do to continue to contribute to the Good Samaritan story? I congratulate, as do you, all students who are recognised here today. If you weren't here this morning up on the front stage, being congratulated, the challenge is back to you in the parable of the Good Samaritan story. And it finished, Good Samaritan, by saying, go and do. The challenge remains for all of us. What can we be involved in, and what can we go and do to share our gifts to our college community, with your families and to the broader community? I congratulate on your behalf all of our recipients this morning. I leave that challenge with you as we move directly into not only our learning today, but also throughout the remainder of the college. And the challenge always is, like the Good Samaritan parable says, go and do. Thank you to everyone for your attention this morning. I leave you now in the hands of your PC coordinators. We will move from assembly directly into period 1. That will go and be completed by about 10:45. I ask people just to listen.